Hey y'all, welcome back to another video. Doing chores this weekend. It's November 1st and we've officially started getting some pretty hard frosts. So I'm going to talk about winter growing and how the season is transitioning here at Wild East Farm. Very nice persimmon tree. And we're down to our last batch of broilers. There's about 330 out here. We're going to be doing smaller batches next year and cutting up a more significant percent, trying to bring retail sales to about 100% of the chicken. And an easy way to increase revenue while dropping overall bird numbers is by butchering more and selling them all at retail price. So the goal is to net more revenue on 1,200 birds than we did on over 3,000 with far less work, and enabling us to invest our time and resources into other elements of the farm that are going to be more long-term. We're still excited about the broilers, and we've got a healthy, happy batch here, but looking forward to those changes in 2026. The sheep are back in Northfield, which is great. We've got really good forage this time of year over here, and we just split up the flock a bit because we got our new ram for the year from a neighbor. There's Socks. He's a beautiful, mostly Katahdin ram who's pretty excited right now. We isolated a few of the females that we don't want to breed out of this flock, and so they're out in Farfield, but getting these guys moved right now. Now, typically when we've brought a ram onto the farm, we've separated him for about a month and done that in order to observe and monitor his behavior. Fortunately, this time we were able to get the ram from a trusted friend who's got a small farming and homesteading operation in the valley over. And this time we brought in a fecal sample the day of pickup to the vet, and so we could see exactly what the parasite load is, if there's any, and they gave us the thumbs up to introduce Socks here with the rest of the group immediately, which saved us a good bit of time and effort. And it's really promising because the folks we got him from have not wormed in many years now. So bringing in not only these genes of a really proven good behaving ram, but also really parasite resistant genes as demonstrated by no worm load or very low worm load, well within tolerance without having wormed in a very long time. First frost cloth is out. This is mostly spinach under here to keep it growing nice and quick. Some of these crops we're not covering. We've gotten good picks off of them already, and they've been through enough at this point that they're going to withstand a few. Got quite cold last night, and these collards and kale are looking totally fine after it. It's around this time of year, early November, that our priority for the crops is in the caterpillar tunnels. So not just keeping plants alive, but keeping them very happy. I'm coming in here to uncover this morning as it's warming up, but we'll be covering, uncovering anytime it gets below 36 on the forecast in here to make sure that these plants, without any supplemental heat, stay growing and active and beautiful to bring fresh produce to the market all winter long. All right, so I've still got this tunnel to uncover, but underneath all that cloth is just absolute bounty. We've got a whole tunnel of this white Russian, known to be extremely winter hardy and will be loaded up on greens well into December, January, and beyond. This tunnel has a smattering of different crops at different successional stages, and because we're able to sell almost 100% of our produce retail at farmers markets through the winter, we change our crop plan a bit. Thus far in the life of the farm, a significant amount of the produce through the year is sold to wholesale customers locally, and that affects our crop planning. A lot of our wholesale customers are able to take larger quantities of fewer different types of crops. So it introduces simplicity into the planning and logistics on that end. For example, we can grow several hundred bed feet of curly green kale that just simply wouldn't, or would be challenging to move strictly at retail outlets and prices. But with the change in the seasonality, where we're able to sell most of it at retail, really because so few people grow fresh greens through the winter here, we shifted up and are a bit more diverse in our crop selection than at other times of year, perhaps. We are still harvesting some of the last of the outdoor crops. These are some of the last carrots that are getting nice and sweet from these frosts. And looking into the future and planning more around winter growing as the farm progresses, we're looking to do a bit more up front in the fall, growing more volume of storage crops. So things like carrots, which we often sell with the tops on and pick them fresh for market, but growing enough to intentionally put into storage for months. Similar situation with beets. We grew more cabbage normally than we have in the past this year. And daikon radish, finding those crops that a lot of them on a per bed foot metric in terms of revenue aren't as good as other crops, but it's a balance with annual cash flow, being able to bring in variety in the winter, and having the ease and peace of mind in the market gardens to bring delicious fresh produce without the daily or weekly work of harvesting it. Having clean, beautiful, delicious storage crops in the cooler ready to bring to market each week through the winter is something we're looking to invest more in the future. Winter growing we grow through the winter for a lot of reasons. One is it splits up the monotony sometimes of gray and cloudy, brown, wet winter days with really nice time spent harvesting in the tunnels. We like to be able to have that reliable cash flow in addition to the meats we sell through the winter. And really a big part of it is being able to produce and bring veg to the market all winter long is one of the most effective marketing techniques in my experience so far. In our context, most of the farms, I'd say 90%, who are really regular throughout the year, drop off their production in the winter, and customers have come to learn that Wild East is one of the few that they can expect to be getting fresh food all year long. And that sticks with people. We're not trying to take customers from any other farms. I think there's plenty to go around in the pot, but in terms of building our reputation and our brand and our role in the community, bringing veg throughout the year is a big part of what helps us stand out. And I recommend it because it's fun, and in our climate, while there are challenges, it's not all that challenging to grow in the winter. Indeed, I think it's a bit more challenging to grow vegetables here in July than it is in January. So yeah, just food for thought on some of the reasons why we really prioritize having year-round vegetables. Well, the vast majority of outdoor beds are being picked off the last bits from the fall or already establishing in cover crop. We are planting about close to 2 blocks over the next week or so. We've been pulling out peppers in this past week and flipping beds over from some other crops to turn the beds over and have a big overwintered allium block. So we went big on garlic this past year. We're going to plant about 500 feet of garlic again because of our success with that last year. And we're experimenting with some other overwintered alliums. We're doing green garlic, planting smaller bulbs intentionally to harvest earlier and sell fresh green garlic that's not cured. We're also overwintering shallot bulbs in order to harvest them as scallions late in the winter. I've had experience with this in the past, and rather than letting the bulbs fully form, the greens shoot up beautifully, and late February, early March, we should have several beds of really nice scallions with really little work. They don't even need to be covered over the winter to maintain their quality. And that's a big part of winter growing, is how do we maintain a nice winter workload, not pushing the envelope too hard, but the challenge more so than having vegetables in December and January is carrying that gap in February and March, because things are growing so slow. It's more challenging to get crops established at the time of year where bringing a full table of veg in February, March is possible. But planning around that and taking pride in being able to provide the community with fresh organic vegetables 52 weeks of the year without pushing ourselves too hard. That's the goal of winter growing here at Wild East Farm, and it's an iterative process where we learn more and more each year about how to approach it and what improvements to make. And I think we're in a really good place here at the beginning of November to have a successful 25-26 winter growing season. So stay tuned, and I'll keep updates of the growing side and the market side as we go into the winter. I hope y'all have a beautiful weekend and a great start to this wonderful month, and we'll see you next time.